Hello everybody, I am Angry Bird, and something very different for you today. So, the guys over at Veterans of Virtual Wars Discord, they are running a bit of a community event for the guys on their Discord, and it's in the style of a multiplayer campaign. So over the course of a number of weeks, they'll be having multiplayer matches against each other, and that, depending on the result of those matches, that will affect the campaign map. So just on screen, on the left-hand side, I've got the campaign map that they've put together, and we've got the Germans and the Allies on that map. And then depending on the outcome of the week's battles, that will push the front line, forwards or backwards, depending on which side you're looking at, across the map, and that will determine the eventual victor. So what happens is, each week they have a different sort of set of battles. It might be a standard conquest battle, skirmishes midweek, and looks like they are going to be kind of low income tactical style games. And then depending on the outcome of that is whether another sort of standard conquest battle, or if a breakthrough multiplayer match occurs. So different multiplayer game modes in play here. So it does look really interesting. And in terms of the victory points, so each week there's no sort of set number of matches that they're going to be playing. I think it's however many games can be played, and depending on whether you play that in 1v1, you get 1 point for your side. So you pick your side, whether you're Axis or Allies, and then if you win in a 1v1 game, your side gets a point, 2v2 a point, 3v3 point and a half, and then 4v4 you get 2 points for the victory. And then they top those up at the end of the sort of group of matches, and then whichever side wins determines obviously who's won that week, and then the front line shifts because of it. Hopefully I've kind of explained the concept enough for you. They've also written a set of orders for each side. Now, I am actually taking part in this event. I am not in the game that I'm going to cast today, but I am taking part in this event. So what you do is at the start you choose whether you're going to be an Axis or an Ally side. So I am playing on the Axis side, and you pick a division, and you have to stick with that division through the entire sort of campaign. And I've chosen to play the 1st Ski Jäger. So I really wanted to play with them. I haven't played them much, and I definitely wanted to get more games with them. So look forward to seeing some Ski Jäger play. But the Discord, they've actually written a set of sort of orders, or kind of like a narrative behind the campaign. So on the screen on the right hand side, I've got the Axis version. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cast the first game. I hope you enjoy it. Okay, here we are in game, and this is being played on the map Pleschnitzy. I've probably just butchered that name. This is the first time I'm casting this map, so let's go through the two sides. On the Allied side, on the left, we have Mr. X, Mr. Y. He's playing balanced 84 guards. Currently has the F-22 artillery pieces lining up to fire right from the start. Okay, and then just above the centre line, we have Roy Raw, sorry. Hopefully I haven't butchered that name either. If I am mispronouncing any names, please let me know in the comments, and I'll endeavour to fix that next time. So he's playing Juggernaut 3rd Guard Tank Corps, so it'll be interesting when the IS-2s come out for him, and some mortars from the start as well, targeting the bridge up in the top area. Just below him we have Chief Marshal, who's playing Juggernaut 184th Strokovy, and then right at the bottom we have Donuts, who's playing Vanguard 3rd Armoured. On the Access side, on the right hand side, we have at the top Howljumper 117, who's playing Balanced 5th Panzer, early Panther A and Tiger E Fuhrer coming out with the SDKFZ 71 for anti-air. In the middle we have Robert AM, who's playing who's playing Balanced Group Hartnick. Great division. In the sort of centre, bottom centre, we have Horgenville, who's looks like we've got initial skirmishes with him. He's playing Balanced 78 Sturm. And then right at the bottom we have Time to Collision, who's playing Juggernaut 21st Panzer. So now we've got them introduced, we'll speed the replay up to normal speed. Very interesting Time to Collision with the early Königstiger, despite playing a Juggernaut 21st Panzer. So very interesting with the 4 Gepards as well for air support. He does not want to lose that Königstiger at the start. And early off map coming down from Horgenville with the Bauschwim 210, and that is really going to hurt the Donuts infantry in here, especially with the 2 Schutzen squad taking out the infantry across the centre. And yeah, I think Horgenville is going to take an early command of this central town or bottom centre town area. It's interesting that Donuts on the Allied side is kind of the only one in this town and with the bottom side area, whereas the Axis side, they're devoting both Time to Collision to the bottom and Horgenville to the town. So Donuts is really going to find himself struggling against 2 players, and he's going to need either help to come down, or he's going to need the players on the top to definitely put the pressure on to help him out. The Panther A and Tiger E Fuhrer just they're going to take up commanding positions on those hill, and if they manage to stay there throughout the game, then it's going to shut down this supply route, and Mr. X, Mr. Y is going to find it difficult to get troops back up into his area. The IL-237 coming in initially, but I think the Robert AM responds with a 109 covering Howljumper, and Mr. X and Mr. Y backs off, and Robert AM's lucky, I think, to keep that fighter after it strays close to the 37 mils, and Mr. X, Mr. Y not committing his fight. So back down to the southern area, and I think this is where most of the action is going to occur. This controlling this centre town is going to be a real important location, and Horgenville has definitely taken a commanding presence at the start, supported by Time to Collision. The reason I say this is so strategically important is because if the Axis side manage to get this ridged position, to hold this position, they're going to have sort of a commanding view over the entire southern sort of resupply lines. They can shut off this supply road and this supply road down here. So it's going to be really important for the Allies to Donuts to keep this town at all costs. And currently Chief Marshal is now supporting with additional infantry, and this is definitely needed. The Allies need to devote more more resources to this area and keep the Axis at bay. Looks like we've got some skirmishing in the centre with the Panzer T-34s taking on the Emcher, and I think the T-34s have got this one. The IL-2 does look like it's coming back in again for another run, but the SDKFZ will force that back, and Howljumper, pushing forwards. pushing forwards and retreating his two heavy tanks there. He is going to cause some problems for Mr. X and Mr. Y until they can bring on their IS-2s onto the field, that is. Back down to the southern centre town, and it looks like the Axis are starting to push forward, and taking the forest on this ridge is going to be real important for them. Also, if they can hold on to this position here, they completely overlook this town, and resupplying this town with more troops is going to become harder and harder as the game goes on. So this is the strategically important area for them. The Dorniers coming in and strafing the M4s there. I'm not sure if it was the Dornier that got the kill, and there's two Nashorns in real forward positions there. One's been crew killed, the other's taken out, and yeah, they were real ambitious positions to take, and they do pay for that. So we've got some smoke in the centre, and Robert M is pushing an Alpha Cloud forward. Strange choice there. I'm guessing he's trying to see what resistance he's going to come up against, but that's easily going to get taken out. And he looks like he's trying to push forward here. And this 76mm on the hill is providing most of the fire, and I imagine, yes, that's going to get targeted immediately by the two mortar half tracks, and I can't see that staying for too long. But the ISU is in a perfect position, but Robert AM pushing forward with the troops, and if he can get troops into this town, it can be real difficult for the Allies to push them out again once they're in there. So there goes the mortar fire pinning down the 76, and I would expect this ISU to hopefully be smoked off or dealt with in some manner. The southern town is almost fully in the control of the Axis now, and that is going to give them some commanding presence. I think they are going to need to, income wise, strange sort of division between the Allies. They've got the two Juggernaut divisions, and then they've got the Vanguard division, but Donuts, who is playing Vanguard, is finding it difficult playing pretty much two against one. So the Axis team are able to get overwhelm Donuts' troops, and the reason being is that they're devoting nothing to this central area, while the Allies have got quite a lot of troops there defending an area that the Axis are not pushing into at all. Another off map coming down from Holdenville, and if they get rid of the infantry in this light forest and forest area, then there's nothing left to hold them back from really setting up defensive positions. There's a final push coming through from Roy Raw, who's helping out right from the top side. So the Allies really are seeing the difficulty, and all of the team is trying to respond now. Some skirmishing on the bottom side now, as the Axis try to push troops into this town, but it won't be long before they start to do that, controlling this hilled area. Once they get some supporting weaponry up on this ridge, they will start to push the Allies out of this town. So it looks like the mortars have been marked. I expect to see counter battery coming in soon, and in this top side not too much action, although Helljumper has managed to push forward and take out these 2 flags in the top half of the map. I can't imagine he's going to manage to keep hold of that position for too long. But oh, beautiful Yak 7B strike there. Rockets onto the infantry and then immediately straight after onto the Pak 36. Fantastic strike from Roy Raw there. Howljumper has managed to force back the Sapri LPO of Mr. X, Mr. Y, and if he can manage to reinforce this forest area, he could become somewhat of a nuisance. Back down to the southern side and look at the number of troops they've got into this town. The Allies are now starting to push up the hill, but they are going to struggle against the amount of troops in this town area, and it's going to need a concentrated effort from all of the Allies side really to push them back. So the Axis do have the 1410 tick now, and they're controlling this flag here and the flag right at the top here to give them that, and if it continues this way they will get the victory in 23 minutes. Chief Marshal is bringing in a lot of infantry now into the top side, and I think they're looking to retake this wooded area, but these Panthers I think have been making it difficult to reinforce the areas, and if you look, they're having to unload early due to the fire coming from this ridge. They have been smoked off on this occasion, but yeah, Howljumper keeping those heavy tanks sort of on this ridgeline is going to prove a nuisance throughout the game. And now the IS-2s coming in from Mr. X and Mr. Y, and hopefully they should be able to take care of the some of the heavy tanks. It's going to be an interesting battle between the two players. In the middle side we've got smoke coming down, and Roy is pushing forward with an infantry charge, and there's nothing at the moment stopping him, so troops being rushed in, but he is going to make a lot of ground here. But the only flag that really is in contention of taking is up on this top bridge, so he really does need to get his troops into this forest area. Otherwise he's going to make it all the way up here, but he still has to hoof it across the river and then up to this ridge, so really he needs to concentrate on this sort of northern bridge with these troops that he's pushing across. Back down to the southern town, and the Allies are being beaten back. It is going to be real tough retaking this position, especially as Donuts' income, now we're in phase B, is diminishing, and he now has less than most of the Axis side. So he is going to struggle as the game continues to move on. Roy Raw bringing more mortars into this bottom side, hopefully to kind of root out a lot of this infantry, but as predicted, once this top side is being taken and there's supporting weaponry coming in, we're now seeing attacks into this bottom sort of village area, and I don't think this is going to last for too long. I can see the Axis is pushing through here. Times Collision got his Koenigs Tiger down on this southern side, and I don't think there's anything here that can take it out frontally. He's going to have to rely on side shots to take out that Koenigs Tiger. Back up to the northern side and more skirmishing occurring. Roy Raw has managed to push into this forest area, and if he can get maybe an AT gun into this area, he can challenge the Tiger E there and maybe start to put pressure onto this flag. But Howljumper is responding with Panzergrens, and the skirmishing continues. The two IS-2s from Mr. X, Mr. Y are now supported by a third, and two Katyushas on the field, and now a fourth IS-2. So Mr. X, Mr. Y and Roy Raw kind of combining to put a lot of pressure on Helljumper on this northern side, and I think Helljumper's going to have to play very defensively to try and keep them at bay. The IL-2 coming in for another run, and it goes down there, taking out the infantry unit with it. I think that took out the infantry unit with it. And here comes the Katyusha strike. Allowing Mr. X and Mr. Y to push his infantry in and take the flag in the northern sector. Back to a 12-12 now. They've managed to get over the river, and it'd be nice to see some Faust, some Guardia in here, or something with some nice infantry AT weaponry to try and take out these tanks at short range, because the surrender of the pack gun there, real important surrender from Mr. X, Mr. Y, and the Panther A, I think that takes out the IS-2 there, but then gets immediately falling back. It might have been this Pack 40 back here with the APCR shells. And the off-map from Mr. X, Mr. Y, the M301 off-map coming down on this forest here, and if they proceed to take those units out, then that should hopefully swing them this flag back in their favour, and we may see the Allies come back and start to get a tick down on the axis. The Beobacha from Helljumper has managed to avoid the Gvardia and is providing an important radio asset to the axis on this side. These, you can never underestimate these mortar half-tracks. They're excellent when paired with the radios, and they will be able to pinpoint strikes into significant sort of important units on the Allied side. Down comes the off-map. The Panzergrens of Helljumper do get pinned down. Now it'll be important for these to get taken out, or for units to come in and pressure that area. Was that another IS-2 taken down? I'm not quite sure whether that was taken down. And Robert AM committing Jaeger Pioneers across the open ground, and no supporting weaponry with it. The looks like the Tiger Führer and the Stug 3G coming across to support, but the infantry committed too early, and they will get taken out easily. The M3A1 coming in now. The Panzergrens have recovered from the surrender. More infantry coming in from Helljumper, and the FK288 on the hill there will take out that M3A1 if he can get the surrender. Although recon unit, I don't believe they can surrender enemy units. He needs to, yeah, there it goes, it gets taken out. He needs to commit infantry into that area, because they really could pressure that flag. And another off map coming in now on a huge amount of forces. He needs to commit more infantry forwards, and hopefully the Allies can push this top side, because I think at the moment Helljumper really under pressure from two players, and this is going to be the opportunity that the Allies need to take more flags from the axis. The Tiger E Führer goes down. I think, was that the command vehicle? I'm not sure. Does go down. That's the major casualty of that off-map strike, and taking out a Tiger E Führer does pay itself off. The FK288's targeted by the artillery on the Allied side after they take out the M3A1. Coming back down to the centre time, to the centre of the map, and there is a huge push coming in from the Allies. With all this smoke, there's a neighbour worth a strike trying to pin down the troops, and this is the Allies' chance as well to take out the centre ground. I think the Allies are desperately trying to push back. They do have the 1311 now they've retaken this flag here, and if they can hold this, they will get the victory in 32 minutes time. So this is quite a close match so far, and the income game is on the side of the Allies, where they have more 2 Juggernaut division to the 1 Juggernaut division on the Axis side. So the Allies are slowly making the way, but 2 Ju-88 bombers coming in, trying to take out these Shermans, and they were easily taken out by the cluster bombers. The strike coming in on the opposite side from the Allies, and they need to commit more resources because they're slowly getting picked off, and there is not much of this attack remaining. The Zis 3 gun picking off units at range, and another Navalworth strike coming in just as the infantry is being pushed in from Horgenville, and that should be enough to really clear up the remainder of these troops. If he can push the Huzarok, if Robert AM can push the Huzarok through and get an anti-tank grenade on the command M4, although the Stugs looking like they're moving into position. One track's broken, but will they 2 versus 1 this command M4A1? They should win out. The crew panicked on the Stug 3G, and this Stug 3G is pushing straight up the road. The M4 does take out one of the Stugs, but it's being overwhelmed now. The spalling does come down on it. It's surely only a matter of time. Oh! It looked like the mistimed Navalworth strike pins down his own units, but luckily takes out the M4A1, which was the last stand of the Axis. The other M4A1 is now falling back, and that should get surrendered. Well, it may get taken out. The Ally side looking to do a flanking manoeuvre, but they do lose one of the Sapperies, and yeah, quite intense action coming down, and I'm surprised the Allies have managed to hold on to this sort of southern area. I thought for sure the Axis would be able to push into there. It looks like they've committed a lot of troops into the area, and really I think they have the advantage. Perhaps at the moment they're not quite pushing as hard as they can do. There's 2 Nashorns, as well as Nashorn Nigel and the Königstiger down on the south, and really there's look at this. Roy has now brought in the 2 IS-2s, which will sort of match those, or the Königstiger from the Axis side, and he is pushing after Machiki in there, and as long as he doesn't lose them, okay, so he does lose 1, but hopefully he can push in more troops with the supporting M4A3, and they might be able to sort of take over this little compound area and get this flag on the southern side. 23 minutes gone, and the Allies still have the 13-11. The single tick giving them a victory in 31 minutes time, and they just push through to pick up that flag. Now, will they be able to maintain this? It's going to prove difficult. They need to support this attack with more coming in. There is more infantry now coming in from Roy, and he is all over the map at the moment. So he must be struggling with micro, and the some important kills do come in there, and they have now got this compound under control. If they can get rid of the spar troop on the bottom light forest area, they may be able to take up this area, maybe get some pack guns in there and try and take out these Nashorns and the Königstiger. They just need to make sure they can hold on to this compound, but the time to collision now coming back, and 2 Junkers coming in for the cluster strike, 1 on the Jumbo. Will it take out that Jumbo? Yes, they do succeed to take out that Jumbo, and the others coming in on the IS-2s. Missing the IS-2, but does take out the mortar and the supply vehicle, so that is going to be a hit for the Allies on this bottom side. If they cannot support this, and the Axis now do push back with a hell of a lot of infantry and retake the southern flag, it's going to be tough for the Allies to push in another attack. And I think they've been beaten back certainly for an amount of time. They are now concentrating more efforts to push back in this centre town, and Horgenville coming in with another naval warfare strike, 2 naval warfare strikes to counter this attack, and the troops immediately being forced back. Those naval warfares are doing a lot of heavy work, and Donuts with the 2 M7s coming very close to the front line. So interesting use of these M7s. I think he's planning on using the radio of the M7s, you know, to help them, but very interesting use, pushing them forwards, very unexpected. Okay, let's push back to the northern side, and the attack from Robert AM, you know, is going to be struggle. They're going to struggle pushing infantry over this area when they've not got the supporting ability. I'd much rather concentrate on taking this town where they can use the road to quickly reinforce, as well as provide, you know, more heavy sort of tanks. I think that's a mistake, sort of trying to push over this ground here. And Helljumper's still surviving on this top side. He has managed to clear up troops in this northern wood, and there's a hell of a lot of mortars in this top area, so he certainly has the he certainly has the artillery to back him up. Tiger E just holding, I mean, look at the ground this Tiger E is holding, all of this area down here. So, you know, this ridge is an important area to hold, and Helljumper's doing a fantastic job at the moment of just holding this kind of strategic location and just keeping the Allies at bay. Robert AM is managing to push forwards more and more troops, but I cannot see this attack lasting in the long run. The IS-2 of Roy is now going to sort of, although he does get the shooter knockout, and it's not in the best position there. Yeah, I imagine he is pushing this forward to try and contest these tanks, and another IS-2 coming in now. And once these tanks are kind of cleared up, there's going to be no supporting fire to cover this infantry. And 2 off maps scheduled to come in on the centre town. This is becoming a real meat grinder, and the Allies, they're throwing a lot of equipment trying to retake this town. The Axis, having recaptured the northern area with Helljumper recapturing that, they are now back on the 1311 tick, and they will win again in 15 minutes time. I think the Allies, they need to concentrate on one point at the moment, and I think it's going to be this town, trying to take this town back, because if they can take this town and then push through and get the second one, that's 2 points in quick succession, and they can flip this approach. The M7 HMC pushing forwards, and that to me was a mistake. I'm not sure why Donuts was making that move there. So does get taken out. However, the off map does come in on a lot of Haugenville's troops, and another off map now coming down. This is the opportunity, but the Allies, they don't seem to have the troops ready to follow up on these off maps. They're relying on the troops that are already here. However, you know, they're getting suppressed by a lot of artillery themselves, so they need fresh troops to sort of come in after these off maps go down. So the IS-2s are now starting to clear up the tanks supporting this infantry, these infantry attacks, and Yeah, Robert AM has sort of been beaten back to the heavy forest where his infantry can take cover, and Roy Ross still managed to hold this forest. Looks like there's a bit of a standoff here between the Guardia and the Grenadier DP. Robert AM looking like he's not wanting to commit those troops, but I think the Grenadier DPs, along with the Baobachar, would be able to take out the Guardia, so I'd like to see them sort of moving in conjunction with each other. The mortar fire from Helljumper on the top, raining down fire onto this forest, and you can see the amount of artillery fire that's come through. The forest is being decimated. Helljumper doing a fantastic job to sort of hold this strategic location, and if you look where all of his troops are, they're all concentrating on this one location, sort of really concentrating his forces into the spot that he needs to have them. The artillery fire now coming in on the anti-air and the kind of rear, the rear troops, and it's going to be important for the Allies to maintain that artillery fire. It looks like it's coming from Mr. X, Mr. Y, although his are coming in to the centre. There is a huge amount of troops now coming through, although looks like the GV Comroti there, strange movement order, and Chief Marshal is massing a hell of a lot of infantry troops. I'm not quite sure what his plan is at the moment. He looks like he's bringing them into this location. I'm not sure whether he's planning to push them over this bridge and then up this southern side, but he needs some supporting troops if he's going to do that. He's got the IS-2 here. Maybe they can push some heavy tanks into this area and support an attack. But his troops are going to get picked off if they don't launch an attack soon, and it looks like the heavy tanks are moving forward, and maybe this is it, but they need to coordinate and make this attack happen. All of the troops unloading now. Very strange. And looks like this attack's going to proceed on foot. Interesting approach. Off map from Robert AM. Not really got a hell of a lot there. Let's look back on this centre town. The Allies still trying to push in. Axis do push a Grenadier forward, although that looks like it is going to get taken out. And this Spar troop probably is going to go down as well. The Robert AM calling another off mapping, and the Allies have managed to get a foothold back into this town, and they need to get reinforcements in here quickly to avoid losing this position again. Chief Marshal is responding with the Strelky, but I would have liked to have seen the troops, the amount of troops that he had pushed into this top area. I would have liked to have seen them come into that town on the bottom to reinforce and hold that position, and at the moment these troops are going to get picked off. It is kind of maybe a miscommunication. We've got heavy tanks sort of proceeding on the northern side, and then all the infantry proceeding on the southern side of this location, and maybe a miscommunication here, but I'd have liked to have seen the two attacks sort of being spearheaded together and concentrated on one force, because this infantry is the important stuff that's going to hold the ground. So this infantry needs to get into these forested positions and be supported by these tanks. Some M3A1s are being pushed up to try and get the recon in for these heavy tanks, and this Pack 40 is now spotted and is being taken out. The Panther G Führer is being crested forward slowly, but 5 IS-2s in position, along with is that Katusha strike coming in, and very concentrated push in this northern area. The Allies might be able to pull this one off. The M3A1s do get forced back, and the artillery is raining down, and Helljumper is losing this position. The flag does move over to the Allies' favour, and the Strelky of Chief Marshal are now making their way into the woods. It's a shame a lot of this infantry sort of got bogged down on this southern side. It looks like a P3 coming in from Mr. 3, but the anti-air is strong on the Axis side, and Howljump are under real pressure now on this northern side. If these Pioneer get taken out, perhaps if this Strelky can take out this Panther G at short range, that would be a fantastic kill. And the Allies now pushing over the bridge, and the Axis really need to reinforce this northern side. Howljump are bringing in 2 more Panthers, but I think more players need to help Howljumper out on this northern side. It looks like they've pushed back this centre town, although another infantry attack coming in from Chief Marshal. A lot of infantry being committed by Chief Marshal, and you'd expect him at 35 minutes in, even with this amount of infantry being committed, to possibly, start running out at some point. Somehow we've got a Panzergrenadier camping out this area, and they won't last long once they're discovered. Another off-map coming in from Chief Marshal, and I expect that's going to be followed up by the infantry. Let's return to the northern side, where a huge push is coming in. The HE-11s, will they get the strikes off onto the IS-2s? And perhaps that was, I think that was, yeah, they lost. I think that was a targeted attack where they didn't know the exact locations, and yeah, those bombers proving ineffective. Down there goes the Panzer G, and the IS-2's now cresting that hill, although there is a hell of a lot of Pack 40s here for Howljumper, and these IS-2s will be in trouble. The Flak 43 as well helping out, and the IS-2s immediately reversing over that hill, one of them being crew killed, and those Pack 40s from Howljumper certainly saved him there. A lot more Pioneers being brought into the action, and these infantry still struggling to move up across this open ground. Another Panther A Führer from Howljumper now coming across, and if this IS-2 goes down, there's nothing else supporting this infantry on the southern side, and Howljumper has managed to take back this flag in the north, although he's only got 1 Panzergrenadier. He needs to get this infantry into the woods and should take care of these Strelky units without the support of these IS-2s, and these IS-2s are now in a dangerous position. If Howljumper manages to get a couple of AT guns, once he's cleared up this Strelky, if he manages to move a couple of AT guns into this position, they'll have very short range shots on this IS-2, and they're actually moving south, which is the move that I would like them to do. That's a fantastic move south, so that they can cover the advance of this infantry over the open ground, and hopefully they can come back into play. Back down to the southern side, and more off-maps coming in on this town. Both sides are fan of the off-maps at the moment, and it looks like the artillery is being used effectively on both sides. A hell of a lot of infantry currently pinned down on the Allied side, but there isn't much infantry in here on the Axis, although Robert AM is now bringing in a lot, but unloads early, possibly in the face of this artillery fire coming down onto his position. It's interesting as well, because had they continued, all of that infantry would be coming into range of this off-map artillery strike, so actually quite a good decision to unload the infantry early there. Down comes the off-map, and Stug 3G does get taken out. The infantry coming across will get caught up just on the edge of this off-map, and yeah, the Allies have gained a foothold back into this town. They need to reinforce and keep hold of this position. They're currently 13-11 up, and the tick is back over to the Ally side, so they will get victory in 28 minutes. This game is to-in and throw-in. Wow. So Robert AM's forces do get cleared up in this centre ground, and wow, Chief Marshal has managed to push forward a Strelky, and he is aiming to take out the backline Nebelwerfers, and somehow he's managed to push them through. This will be an excellent position if he does manage to get into that position. Hopefully he should definitely interrupt the backline of Hoggerville. And a lot of forces on the map now for the Allies. I think if you look at the wow, huge bombing strike coming in from Chief Marshal and from Roy. Look at the IL-2s here coming in, and strange targeting there onto these forces. I guess he's looking to protect his after Machiki moving down the road. The 2 fighters of Robert A, in fact the 4 fighters of Robert M responding, but I don't think those IL-2s will probably proceed through, and they do manage to get through, although are evac'd, some of them without using their payload. So yeah, I think Roy was struggling for to maintain sight on the targets there, and a lot of his mortars back here are without supplies, although he does have a Studebaker moving in now. Let's have a look at this northern side. The IS-2s have moved down and they are being resupplied, so they should be able to support this infantry, and they have managed to take a hold of this flag on the bridge that I was talking about earlier, and there's infantry pushing through on this northern side again, and Howljumper is looking in trouble here, and there's not much support coming through for him on this northern side. The Axis are obviously fighting off elsewhere, and he's doing a grand job to hold off the Allies on his own on this northern side. A lot of infantry being pushed through to the back line. Let's see whether this infantry down on the southern side did manage to get through. It looks like he did manage to get through, and is that... Yes, that is a Nebelwerfer that was taken out. So yeah, it looks like this Strelky did manage to get through. It'd be interesting if he manages to take out the second Nebelwerfer as well, and it looks like he accidentally captured one of the supply units and he's sending it over to the back, probably to try and get recaptured so that it doesn't alert the Axis to the presence of infantry in their back line. This is fantastic sneaky beaky attack work. It looks like the Strelky is in line of sight, and the Axis have now noticed the supply truck. So a Nebelwerfer does get taken out, although that was by counter artillery strike. It looks like this Strelky is being used for recon rather than them itself, and wow, the strike coming in on that, the counter battery coming in on that supply truck, and a lot of counter battery in the back lines, aided by the recon of Chief Marshal. Fantastic play. Wow, look at this, the off maps coming in this town. A hell of a lot of off maps. The Allies have been pushed back out, and the Axis back to a 12-12 position. Let's have a look at this northern attack, because that looks to be where the Allies are making most of their progress. They are really putting Howljumper under pressure, and Robert AM is helping out with the aircraft, but Howljumper on his own with the ground troops, and it looks like Hoggerville is now helping out with the Pak 43s, but they aren't going to survive well against infantry at short range. The Katyusha strikes coming in, constantly harassing Howljumper's troops, and the IS-2s moving north again, possibly in response to the heavy armour in this northern area, and I think they might try and sort of crest this hill again and see whether they can make it. If they can push back into this position, but they've got to be careful. If Howljumper recovers this with the Panzerfaust, he might be able to take out the IS-2 here. Oh, just pinned down in time. Very unfortunate to get shot off. And wow, look at the anti-air being brought in to try and support these units against the air coming in from the Axis. And the Allies have recaptured this flag, and they are once again at a 13-11 tick. This match is back and forth. Very close game. It's been along the 50-50 line throughout. No team has really concentrated all its resources in one spot. And yeah, it's been back and forth with these flags. Back to a 12-12 with this flag being contested. And yeah, an intense action. The 37 mils coming very far forward. And very interesting play from the Allies. The IL-2s of Roy are coming across, and do they get their bombs away? One of them gets taken out. The other two forced to fall back, and Helljumper might pick up these kills. Although, losing his own fighter, A8 is very strong on both sides. Robert AM has the SDKFZ-11 flags back here, supporting Helljumper with his AA as well. And Helljumper's got the two Hummels now, and they are going to do a severe amount of damage, especially on all of this sort of static AA. More troops being brought in by Mr. X, Mr. Y. I think he's trying to desperately hold on to this forest area and give the Allies the sort of the flag. Sustained push on this northern side, and I think Helljumper's done well to hold off as long as he has, and I think the Axis, if the Allies are going to win anywhere, I think it's in this northern area that they're going to make the points. This IS-2 is very far forward and could easily be taken out. Looks, it does receive the spalling from the Pack 40 down in this side, and will it get taken out? Does get loaded knocked out, and he's got to be careful, Mr. X, Mr. Y, with this IS-2. If he loses these heavy tanks, there'll be nothing to reply to Helljumper with his Panthers and Tigers. Infantry all over Helljumper's positions, and these Pack 40s are in trouble, although Mr. X, Mr. Y doesn't have the range with these after Machikis, and he's kind of lucky. Helljumper's kind of lucky that these are after Machiki and not Guardias with those DP machine guns, as they are being able to get picked off at range by the Pioneers and the tanks supporting them. The IS-2 does get taken out, although another IS-2 coming round from Mr. X, Mr. Y, and these three Pack 40s all in this one position are going to wreak havoc on this IS-2. Another Katyusha strike coming in, more infantry being committed, and the Allies, I think they're realising that this northern side is their best bet to push the Axis back. Robert AM finally supporting Helljumper with infantry on the ground, although Helljumper launching an ambitious attack of his own to try and retake this bridge, and if he manages it, there's not a lot of infantry back here. There is the IS-2 supporting from a distance, but he could at least recover this flag and hopefully kind of distract the Allies from this sort of northern push. They do retake this flag on the bridge, and it does maintain the 12-12. This is a very close game. 49 minutes elapsed, and the Axis now have the 13-11 and will win in 10 minutes time. So it looks like there are more forces being committed in the centre line, and look at the off map of Chief Marshal. It's been constantly pounding that town, and the Axis have finally pushed through this southern area. Time to Mission has finally got his Panzergrenz in to take this southern village, and now has pioneers in this forest as well, although they don't have the anti-tank to take out the half-tracks, so they will get cleaned up. But I think the Axis, if they can continue supporting this compound with sort of support guns on this ridge line, then they should just harass the Allies. And they do now lose the flag, but hopefully it's shown them the ability to take that southern side. Robert AM throwing a lot of infantry, time to collision, bringing in the recon, and Haugenville bringing in the Sturm Pioneer and Schützenführer. So real teamwork coming into this centre ground. The Axis do not want to lose this central area, and yeah, I did expect at the start of the game that this would be a key strategic area. Both sides committing a huge amount of resources to try and hold this area, but it's becoming a massive meat grinder. The Axis do manage to take back this flag. We are back at a 12-12, and Royroz after Machiki, looking to push through the smoke and should take out this Panzer 35S once it gets discovered. As long as they stick to this smoke, they will do some serious damage along the rear ground, and you know, one would hope that they can push through to this Königstiger and pressure it. There goes the Panzer 35S, and these after Machiki could take out some serious infantry on the Axis side, although these Sturm Pioneers will challenge them with the grenades. Look at the smoke coming down. I'm surprised they can even breathe in this amount of heavy smoke. The after Machiki finally do get discovered by the Sturm Pioneers, and there goes one force. If this wasn't Pioneers, then I would think this after Machiki would get very far, but they are going to lose out just because of the numbers and the grenades of the Pioneers. So unfortunately that push does get taken out, and the central town does come back under the control of the Axis. The Allies pushing up in this central area, and they're putting pressure on this flag right in the rear of the Axis, and I think Robert AM has brought in troops to quickly reinforce this area, because that flag was under real pressure, and I think they are going to clear up these troops there. But that was a fantastic little push through by Chief Marshal. More fire coming down on this northern side, and Helljumper has been pushed off this ridge. I think the Juggernaut income of the Allied divisions is pushing Helljumper back. The Zis-3 gun there, tackling with the Tiger. Will it get the kill? Possibly. The driver killed and transmission damaged. The loader kill now, although the Tiger finally responding. I don't think it's going to get the kill, but it will get the fallback, and the Katusha now coming in on this forest area, and that has the potential to take out a lot of troops in the rear lines. Doesn't get the kills, but does pin down a hell of a lot, and would have been nice to see them counter batterying the two Hummels back there, who have pounded this northern area, and the two 85mm are taking a lot of artillery fire. More infantry being pushed across open ground, and I'm not sure they're going to get too far as it is. The forest has been retaken by the Allies. They have the 1311, and they are slowly pulling this game back. I think it's difficult to tell at this point who is going to win this game. They have pushed back through the centre time. Artillery coming danger close and does pin down the Sapri LPO. So it does hope they're pushed forward for the time being, but Helljumper is having to retreat all the way back to this sort of rear area, and it means that he isn't able to punish this supply route. So the Allies are constantly being able to push re-supporting troops through. There's snipers backed up by Maxims on the side of Mr. X, Mr. Y, although I'd like to see them being given, you know, movement orders to push forwards, and he definitely needs some supporting tanks. I'd like to see this IS-2 pushing forward. They need to get rid of the tanks on this ridge line. One of them goes down. I'm not sure, 100% sure what took that out. It may well have been the ZIS 3 gun, although that has been, it is out of APCR and out of a HE shell, so that is solely an anti-tank gun now. The Axis side have taken control of this hill again, and the Flak 41 from Hargerville is going to hold off. He's in a commanding position there with the 3,000 metre range. He's going to be able to get shots on before the aircraft even get close. And the Axis finally have pushed through to this southern compound, and they have now got the reinforcements to hold this position. They finally got a Koenigs tower up on this hill, and yeah, the Allies are going to struggle to take back as long as time to collision continues to hold this hill, as well as the that Koenigs tower down south is moving in a very strange position, moving itself right forward. I mean, it's not necessarily going to get penetrated by that M1 gun, but I would like to have seen it moved across the other side of the river to be used more effectively. And the Nashorn Nigel is moving forwards as well. The Axis, they need to keep hold of this southern village, and if they do, I think this could be the flag that tips the game for them. Allies attacking in the centre ground, and it looks like they're targeting this compound or this village area, although infantry diverted north. I would have liked that attack to continue through and unloading this light forest. Yeah, very strange that they've unloaded now and are moving forwards on foot. So strange. Time to collision, bringing in the Pak 43s that will take up positions in this forest and overlook the compound. More infantry coming through now, although looks like it might be unloaded early and moved forward on foot. We've got the IS-2 of Royroy in support, as well as the 76mm using the heat shells to attack. Well, originally using the heat shells, now on the HE shells attacking the Stug 3G, and the two Strelkies pushing through should take out the Guardia DP. That gets them a lot more territory, and if they can reinforce this forest area, they can put pressure on these flags. So the Allies are now pressuring flags, and they are in a great position to put more pressure down on the Axis side. Still attacking this northern area, and a lot of forces being committed, but if you look at the disparity of forces, Helljumper and the Axis have a lot of forces in this position now, whereas the Allies do not have a lot here. And apart from some key units, these 85mm, this ISU and this IS-2, once this sort of infantry is dealt with, there's not a lot that could sort of stop this Axis, an Axis attack if it is pushed through. And I expect at some point this infantry is going to get beaten back, and then the Axis are going to push forward and realise there's not a lot there to stop them. So perhaps that northern area is where the Axis may well get the victory, especially if they can hold on to this south this southern compound. It is now being pushed back upon, and there is artillery slowly grinding down the infantry. Nothing as yet coming in to support it. The 2 Koenigs Tigers are transmission damaged, but like a wounded beast, they still can patch. They still can cause a serious damage to the Allies. Could not think of the phrase there. So the Axis do have this southern central flag and do have the 1311 tick now. They are grinding the Allies down. Less than 8 minutes left. We have just hit the hour mark, and some of these decks are now going to have serious shortage of troops. And I was looking for what was firing those rockets there, and it looks like it was the Rheinwerfer. And yeah, the Allies are pushing, the Axis have pushed the Allies out here, and there is not a lot of troops here. The Valentine 9s of Chief Marshal being brought up very slowly, and they certainly can pack a punch, but he probably ordered them about 10 minutes ago, because they take a hell of a long time to get to the front lines. So the Allies slowly being pushed out of this northern central area, and those two, this northern point that was under pressure is relieved by the Axis, and there's only infantry left to push on this town, and it looks like it's slowly being picked off one by one. The Axis and Helljumper has now sort of gotten a commanding presence back in this northern area, and if he pushes this Tiger back onto this ridge, he is going to shut down this reinforcement road again. And he has the Panther down here as well, although it is under serious pressure, taking on the 85 mils. And yeah, Helljumper, I think, is realising, I mean, look at this front line. The way that Helljumper should be reading this right now is that there is nothing here on the Allied side, and he is committing forces to an attack. So I expect to see pressure being put on the Allies up north. Looks like Mr. XY is coming in for the IL strikes on the Panther and does succeed in taking it out. The anti-air of Robert AM is too far back, and Helljumpers as well, too far back to stop that IL-2 strike coming in. But the Allies, I think, it's only a matter of time before they get pushed in this area. Mr. X, Mr. Y is calling for help. I think he is struggling to hold positions in the north, and I expect the Axis will more Panthers being pushed forward by Helljumper, and I think this northern area, he is trying to get reinforced. Chief Marshal is trying to reinforce this area, but if Helljumper manages to take up this position, he can shut down this supply road. So yeah, this is going to be interesting for the Allies to see if they can hold these positions. The Axis now have the 1410, and there is less than 5 minutes left in the game. The Allies struggling to hold key positions now, and I think they're running out of troops. There is a lot less infantry on the ground from the Allies side, and I think we've hit the hour mark, and a lot of the decks are running dry of troops. They are putting pressure on this town, and they should be able to take back a point with the troops that are coming in here, but reinforcements coming in from time to collision, and the Axis just trying to hold on to the points that they've claimed right now. If they can do that, they will get the victory in 4 minutes time. The Nashorn, yeah, exposing itself to this this tree line and being taken out by the Zis 3 there. The Valentine 9s, they are in position, but without the supportive infantry. They won't hold the ground on their own. The southern point is well and truly under the control of Time to Collision now. He's managed to push forward a pack 43, and he has the supporting Panzer IV and the Koenigs Tiger, which he needs to bring back into a position. I'm still surprised he's using this position on the southern side. I'd much rather see it on the northern side, where it can do a lot. It can really put pressure on the support lines. So 3 minutes left on the clock now. And I fail to see where the Allies are going to make up the flags right now. They've got the infantry to push into the centre ground, but the reinforcements are coming in from Howljumper, and they're not reinforcing this central area. So I think they've given up on this town on the centre side. They have just managed to sneak forward a half track, but that will likely get taken out by the Panzerfaust. They are proceeding across the open, although they do get pinned down by the supporting. I think was that the Bofors? I think it was the Bofors. The supporting Bofors managed to pin that down, and Donos is managed to keep his half track out of trouble. And if he can just get rid of this infantry, that might be a point they can re-secure. But there's only just under 2 minutes left. They need a point other than that one as well. Just taking back that 1 point on its own is not going to be enough, and this central ground, they're not going to get the points there either. IL-2 attacks coming in on the Panthers, and I'm not sure. I fail to see where the Allies are going to make up another point. A lot of troops being committed by Roy Raw for this northern side, but I think it would be a better idea to try and secure this southern compound and perhaps push through to this town here, because at least the troops are pinned down. But I don't think they'd hold that point for long. I think the Allies have now managed to take back this bridged area by taking out the Panzers, the Panthers that were holding it. So perhaps, if they can flood the troops into this forest in time, they may get another point. 40 seconds on the clock, and they've got to get troops into there quickly. I'm not sure if that infantry will make it. They are pushing forwards the M42 gun. So hopefully they can put more pressure on this town. And the Chief Marshal is pushing his infantry across on foot. 20 seconds left. I'm not sure they're going to make it in time. This infantry has to come through very quickly. The Allies, if they make it in time, they may well push that position through, although the Panthers coming down to try and retake this bridge area, and it's not going to be enough. The Axis do take the game. Wow, 68 minutes, 16 seconds. Very tight game, and both sides putting up a commanding display. I think in the long run, the sort of central bottom town was held by the Axis for the majority of the game, and all it took was that one flag being held by the Axis. They didn't allow the Allies to have that central sort of centre town area, the one that was being off mapped throughout, and I think that 1 point, gave it over to them. And Howljumper in the northern side did a fantastic job holding off a lot of troops. Let's have a look at the team stats. All sides pretty even. Howljumper came under a lot of serious attacks, so he does have a large amount of losses, 2 kills, and Chief Marshal does put in a commanding kill-loss ratio. So the Axis pick up the victory, And just going back to our campaign map of sorts, our multiplayer campaign map, the victory, with it being a 4v4, gives the Axis for this week 2 points, and so this one battle alone will not serve sort of as the victory. It's the accumulation of the points scored across the battles played over that, the set timescale that amounts to whether the Axis or the Allies win. So although the Axis have won this battle, if the Allies, win several other battles, then they will be declared the victor for that week. So I hope you enjoyed the video. It's definitely an interesting concept and an interesting event that the guys at Veterans of Virtual Wars Discord have put together. If you want to get involved, I will put their Discord link in the description. Visit that link, get in touch with one of the guys there. I think the two guys in the main that are running the event are Helljumper and Chris or Roy Raw, as you've seen both of them play. It certainly, their aim was to make multiplayer interesting in a different way, and make the people taking part feel like they're playing their own part in something a bit bigger, where the victory or loss in one game doesn't necessarily mean the end of the event, but hopefully the accumulation of all the battles throughout will feel really impactful. And yeah, I definitely like the concept, and it will be interesting to see where this goes. Please watch out for more of these casts on my channel. I am aiming to cover this event as much as I possibly can, because I think this is something really good for the community to get involved in, and hopefully you'll support the guys. Head over to their Discord, get involved if you want to play in this event. I mean, I'm not 100%, but I think they're still accepting, players to join the two teams, Axis and Allies. You only have to pick your side and then pick a division and get playing. Right, we will leave it there. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Please like, comment and subscribe. Thanks very much.